Hi there, welcome back to my channel. When I was first getting started with my business, I was hired by a client to create her website. She explained roughly what she wanted, and she said, go ahead and create whatever you think will look best. Famous last words for a creative like me. So I did. I went ahead and I built the whole website. And mind you, this was pre AI days, so it took a lot longer back then. Every section, every word, every graphic or image, I really poured my heart into it. And then the reveal, I showed it to her and she said, oh, this isn't really the direction I wanted. Now, you're probably chuckling and thinking, rookie mistake, right? Well, yeah, I definitely was a rookie, and this was a costly choice that I made in time and energy. But here's the point. I was doing the thing asked of me. I put in the hours, and none of it moved us an inch toward what she actually wanted. And that's the trap. Effort without direction does not create real progress. Sure, it creates motion, and motion feels exactly like progress while you're in it, but it doesn't necessarily lead to the outcome or the result that you desire most. Quick hello if we haven't met. I'm Jessica, and I help coaches, consultants, and online experts get clear, get seen, and build a simple path that attracts the right clients to you. If you've been following along, we've talked about getting out of your own self imposed waiting room, how to feed your funnel before you have a big audience, and why reps matter even when it seems like nothing's happening. This episode is the next step. Once you're showing up, how do you know what you're doing is actually going somewhere? We all crave certainty, especially in the world of entrepreneurship, but certainty is never guaranteed. So today we're focusing on the part you can control and stacking the odds in your favor. Now, I've been sitting with this topic as I mature in age, and it's my birthday month, so I've been thinking about it a little bit more than normally throughout the year. But as I mature and I grow in my business, I keep coming back to the same word: intentionality. Building a world I genuinely enjoy showing up in, creating experiences that my clients love, and creating a business for impact and growth. I can't do that by just being productive. Productive isn't the goal, progress is. And let me walk you through the system I use to stay intentional and keep myself on track in my business. The system has 5 steps and it spells goals. Yes, it's an acronym. I like acronyms. I love systems. Mostly, I like making things easy on myself and you too. So let's get into it. First is G. Get clear on your vision. Define what success actually looks like for you. It doesn't have to be every detail, and it doesn't have to be a 10-year plan. It just has to be a clear picture of what you're building and what it would make possible. And I do mean for you, not the version of success you've absorbed from someone else's highlight reel on social media. Your vision should sound like you when you read it back to yourself. When I was in my coach training program, we did this exercise called the perfect day. It's so simple and it works great. You can meditate and you can visualize it, or you can write it down with a pen and paper. And basically, it's where you ask yourself, what would your perfect day look like? Or even a season. Like if you're planning a quarter, go ahead and write out what a perfect quarter would look like in your business or month. It doesn't have to be impressive. It's just the one that fits you and what your ideal day would look like. Keep in mind, I want more clients or sales is not really a clear enough vision. It's really just a wish. Going back to my website story I shared earlier, let me tell you what really happened there. When I first started building websites and funnels, I knew vision mattered. I knew having an idea of what I was building was important. What I didn't always know was how to pull it out of someone early enough. And some clients would just say, let's get started, build me something, and we'll iterate from there. Sounded okay, right? But then I realized that wasn't working. Iteration wasn't happening. Sometimes I would have to start over from scratch and rebuild from the ground up, and that just was not working. So I had to push back a bit and really pull that vision out of them. I had to help them get a clear vision before I could start building, or we would never finish. And we would both be investing a lot of time and energy and never getting the result that we really wanted. But here's the takeaway, and it applies to way more than just website building. Clarity at the start is what makes iteration less expensive. A fuzzy vision is what makes it so costly. So before you touch a single tactic or strategy in your business, ask yourself what you're actually building toward. What is the result you're trying to create? What needs to happen to make it possible? Then we have O, and that's own your inputs, or in other words, actions. This is the heart of the whole system, so stick with me here. You can't control whether someone books a call. You can't control how a launch goes or whether someone buys. What you can control is whether you publish the post, send the email, make the invitation, or follow up with a client. Those are your inputs. So instead of, I need more clients, ask a better question. Ask what action would make clients more likely? Or even better, flip it. Ask what would making clients completely unlikely? Never emailing your list, never building the landing page, never actually inviting someone to book a call. It's those inactions that are quietly sabotaging your business. So identify what would guarantee your business goes nowhere, and then do the opposite. And if you felt a little called out there, hey, welcome to the club, right? We all have things on our list that we are avoiding and we're not doing. So if you already know what you're avoiding, don't wait. Get it on the calendar. Do the thing as soon as possible. Get it out of your system, because the future you feels so much better on the other side of doing it. So write those inputs down, put them on your calendar, and show up for them in a way that you'd show up for a client, because that's exactly what they are. Every input that you complete now is a future booking. It's a future client. It's a future sale. And one more thing. Show up more is not an input. That is just pressure with better branding. A real input passes 3 tests. It's specific, and you know exactly what the action is. It's scheduled. It has a day and a time on your calendar, and it's checkable, like a check mark or even a strike through if you prefer. At the end of the week, you know you can check it off. It gets done. It either got done or it didn't. There's no gray area there. So post more is a fail. Publish 2 videos Tuesday and Thursday morning, passes. Work on my email list, that's a fail. Send 1 email to my list every Friday, that passes. You can't answer yes or no. Did it happen? It's not an input yet. So tighten it up until you can. Okay, the next one is A. Act consistently. This is where you have to do the reps long enough to create evidence. 1 post doesn't necessarily sign a client. 1 email won't always turn into a sale. That's not a sign something's broken. It's just how the reps work. And here's the part nobody enjoys. Consistency feels like nothing is happening. You show up, you put things out there, and the outcome hasn't arrived yet. It's an uncomfortable waiting game, and it plays tricks on our minds. But the reps are building towards something the whole time. You're building skills, trust with your audience, more clarity in your business, more visibility. It all compounds over time. And honestly, they're building the version of you who follows through. You're building belief in yourself. Competence leads to confidence. It's how we build a business and a life we want, 1 rep at a time. Now, here's a stat for you. Most podcasters give up after 3 episodes. Ali Abdal on YouTube said that it took him 6 months and 53 videos to reach his first 1,000 subscribers. He now has over 6 million subscribers. Can you imagine what would have happened if he gave up on that 50-second episode? So make sure you give your inputs enough time to produce actual evidence. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's 4 weeks, maybe it's a quarter, but you want to give it enough time before you make any major judgment calls. And this brings us to our next step, and this is the one that keeps us all honest. L, look at your data. This is the step that takes all the drama out of the whole process. Instead of why isn't it working and what's wrong with me, you ask 3 questions. What was the input or action I took? What actually happened? And based on the information, what do I need to shift? That's it. No spiral required. And this is the one I have to practice the most. I recently launched this channel, and I know it takes time to build an audience, that it takes time to feel confident on camera and refine your content and really just get comfortable in the process. I'm literally building the plane while flying it. And I'm sure it's the same as a lot of you with your business. But I also know myself. And I know if I let myself, I will refresh that analytical dashboard like it's a slot machine at the casino. And I don't even gamble. But here's the trap with that. Daily data on a long game strategy tells you exactly one thing: not yet. And not yet every single day starts to feel like never. So I set a boundary here, and I really try to keep my checks to weekly or even monthly. And that's enough data to actually see a pattern, and enough space that when I do pivot, it's an informed pivot rather than an emotional one. So that's what looking at your data really is. It's not surveillance. It's a scheduled appointment with the evidence. And data isn't only numbers. Yes, track your subs, track your watch time, track your clicks, the calls booked, but notice the human evidence too. Are conversations getting warmer? Is your message getting easier to say? Are there things that are specific actions that you keep avoiding? That counts too. Sometimes that's the whole diagnosis. So pay attention to those as well. Okay, so the next one and the final one is S, sharpen your approach. Take what the evidence showed you, keep what's working, and adjust what isn't. This is what keeps consistency from turning into overwork. Because repeating the wrong thing forever is not discipline. It's avoidance that looks like discipline. Sharpening protects you from 2 classic traps: quitting too soon or staying too long with something that stopped working. The data tells you which one you're actually at risk of. Your job is just to pay attention. And one more thing, because it's going to sound like it contradicts everything I just said. Sometimes you do need to throw things at the wall and see what sticks. And here's why: because a strategy that worked beautifully for a person who taught it to you may not work the same way for you. Your audience is different, your energy is different, your voice is different. But there's a real difference between random experimentation and intentional experimentation. Random is rebuilding your entire funnel at midnight because one post didn't land. Intentional is blocking 2 hours this week on purpose to test something new and treating whatever happens as information. Same activity, completely different relationship to it. One is chaos, the other is just data collection. So that's the goal system. G, get clear on your vision. O, own your inputs or actions. A, act consistently. L, look at your data. S, sharpen your approach. That's it. So vision, inputs, consistency, data, and refinement. The goal gives you direction. The process gives you traction. And here's the real shift underneath all of it. You stop living and dying by outcomes you can't control, and you start owning a process that you can control. That's where momentum compounds. Okay, so here's your one step for the week, and I'm keeping it small on purpose, per usual, because small is what actually gets done. So this week, pick your one input that you've been avoiding. Something simple, something on the smaller end, and keep it specific. Something you can check off the list, something that moves you towards the business, the client, the sale that you want. Put it on your calendar like it's a meeting. Show up for it like it's a meeting. And that's it. One input. Watch what it does. And if you've been busy but not moving closer to your goals, give this system a try. See if it works for you. I know you're already working so hard, and that was never the problem. Busy and purposeful are just two different modes, and most of us were never taught the difference. So, underneath the goal system, here's what I'm really inviting you into. A business built on purpose feels different. It feels like yours. The days start to match your values. The work starts sounding like you. That's what all this intentionality is for. Not productivity for its own sake, but a business that feels as intentional as the work you do inside of it. And I'd love for you to do me a favor. Leave me a comment below and tell me your one input you're going to focus on this week. I would love to hear from you. Putting it in writing makes it real. And please subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.